last week, Judge Mellors, the judge in the Copa versus Craig Wright case, as we all know, gave his initial statement that said it would be followed up by a detailed report. Now, as we await for that report of the details of his 4 points that were concluded, the cope is just absolutely insane. And the mental gymnastics we're seeing, I thought were absolutely worthy of a clip. So let's dive into it. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had a great weekend. I'm actually kind of surprised, because this is a Bitcoin-only channel, has nothing to do with any shitcoin. So obviously, when I release clips about shitcoins, such as BSV, right, different affinity scams, I kind of get surprised that I get negative comments. I mean, obviously, like, I know that my work isn't perfect, so yeah, you could totally make fun of it. But I mean, negative comments about like, well, I'd believe you if you weren't so emotional. It's like, my emotions shouldn't make a difference. Because I'm happy that an affinity scam is disappearing, that's my business. That's not your business. If you can't see through my emotions or choose not to read through them, that's your fucking problem. Anyways, let's dive into it. All right, here we go. So for the people who don't remember, here we go. The what happened was Justice Mellor released an initial statement, okay, with which he will follow up on providing the details or I guess we'll say the evidence to point to why he has chosen these 4 statements to be true, right? Which is that Dr. Wright is not the author of the Bitcoin white paper, that he is not the person who adopted or operated under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, that he is not the person who created the Bitcoin system, and that he is not the author of the initial versions of the Bitcoin software. Okay? All that detailed report's going to do is explain why those 4 points are true according to the judge. But that doesn't stop BSVers from doing insane mental gymnastics in order to somehow pretend that this isn't real. So, yeah, let's go through some of this cope. So obviously, I have to start with a Calvin tweet that I retweeted. This one. So here we go. This is cool. Now Craig is not Satoshi in law, because that's what they wanted all along. He is still the world's foremost expert in enterprise blockchain. I know he is Satoshi, but that is moot. Okay, so first of all, enterprise blockchain, I've debunked this a million times, and people way smarter than me, significantly more technical than me, engineers can also debunk enterprise blockchain for you, because again, I've said this 1,000 times before, enterprises don't need slow databases. Enterprises need centralized, fault tolerant data sources. Okay, so they don't need some quote unquote decentralized shit show that doesn't do the amount of transactions and doesn't provide the fault tolerance that their corporation needs. Number one. Number two, why the fuck would they use BSV when they can just, if they were under the illusion that they need a slow database in their enterprise, they could just fork it and make it for themselves. Okay, this is nonsense. So look, enterprise blockchain, this is their next grift. Obviously, you have to kick the can down the road because the project is fucking dead. Because even though they pretend that BSV wasn't about Craig being Satoshi, spoiler alert, that's the only thing that was fucking holding that project together, was that terrible story. Anyways, let's continue with some of the cope. Craig may not have been declared Satoshi, but BSV is still Bitcoin. Okay, so if Craig is not Satoshi and not the author of the white paper, then that shitcoin affinity scam you think is Bitcoin, spoiler alert, not Bitcoin. Anyways, Daniel Street has been very vocal about his thoughts on Craig's Satoshiness, and this is just absolutely pure, hilarious, and cope, and we are here for it. This is one of my favorite accounts because I genuinely can't really tell if this is a real human being. So anyways, good thing nChain owns the patents. I believe Craig Wright is about to get the Nikola Tesla treatment. Okay, so guys, this is where the mental derangement starts to really take hold. Okay, so somehow, okay, the guy who is cosplaying as somebody who created Bitcoin, he's going to get the Nikola Tesla treatment. So Nikola Tesla, who actually was a genius inventor. Okay, so this is, anyways, I'll keep going. Same story, but different cast of players. Oh, no, not the same story at all. Nikola Tesla wasn't a cosplayer. He actually did invent. He actually did invent things. Okay, so it's not the same thing as all at all. And the Tesla coil, yeah, Craig can't hold a fucking candle to that. Anyways, imagine what the world could have been like if Tesla had won. Yep, I absolutely do, and I'm pretty sure Craig Wright would not fucking make a difference in that world. Edison and Westinghouse plotted against Tesla. So here we go. The Bitcoin is the Edison and Westinghouse plotting against Nikola Tesla. These guys are fucking insane. Anyways, because he wanted to give the world free energy. So interestingly enough, though, Craig doesn't want to give the world free anything. He is patenting all of these things so that he can monetize it. I'm really sorry, but like, this is how fucking stupid these narratives are. Okay, like, I've lost lots of money in shitcoin scams and stuff. I've never done these kinds of mental gymnastics because at some point you just realize, you know what? Okay, I've been had. I've been had, and now I need to learn from this lesson. All right, moving on. Now we're going to go to Mort. Okay, I'll have to admit, this one was disappointing for sure. The road just got a lot longer, but there is one thing that stands on its own. Here we go, guys. Here comes the cope, the tech. I'm not here because I have some devotion to Craig. Yes, you are. I'm here because I followed the tech since 2011. No, you aren't. No, you aren't. BSV forked in 2018. You weren't following the code in 2011, bud. These people, again, delusion. BSV is the blockchain that scales. Nope. The only one that scales, and there is a mathematical certainty that it will prevail above all others. But of course, he doesn't provide the mathematical formula for this mathematical certainty. This is what happens when people think that they sound smart, but they have no idea what actual intelligence sounds like. And look, I can appreciate that you want this guy to be Satoshi, but to make up a ridiculous claim like mathematical certainty that it will prevail, that's not how that works. Anyways, yeah, I know. You think, oh, Phil, this can't really get worse. It gets worse. Okay, now we're gonna start. Now we're gonna start moving into some more of the conspiracy theories. More people are hating Copa because they hijacked Bitcoin to cater for their billionaires cabal club. So this is very interesting. Roger Ver also he just made a book. Apparently a whole entire, 300 pages of cope and cry harder about how Bitcoin was hijacked. Okay, so guys like Roger Ver are going to pretend to create a narrative that they are this wonderful person who was touting all of these utopian dreams and the free money and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the New York agreement consisted of giant corporations that thought they could push the devs around, that thought they could push Bitcoiners around, and thought that they could shove their fucking narrative down our throats. And they lost. They lost miserably. And Roger Ver was the spokesperson for that ridiculous campaign. Okay? So anybody who thinks that reading that fucking book is going to make a difference, do yourself a favor. Read the Block Size Wars. That is an accurate depiction of what happened historically, and not this fucking fantasy novel that Roger Ver is writing about the big block. So again, this is just more crap, okay? It was hijacked because our narrative didn't win. Bitcoin isn't about you. It's not about me either, okay? This account, I only got to learn about during the Craig Wright trial. I didn't even know that this account existed, but nevertheless, I am super thrilled that I have found it. So Austin XBT, I bought BSV for the big blocks, not because of Craig. I ain't selling anything. Nah, you didn't. That is just pure cope. More mental gymnastics. So again, right, we've seen this narrative play out a few times now since last week. Those 4 statements that the judge made, that wasn't his decision. His decision is the detailed report about those 4 points. But we're just going to pretend the decision doesn't exist. So here we go. Bit crash again. This is too abrupt to make a judgment already. Judge Meller is just reiterating what Copa is seeking in the 4 points he made a declaration for his judgment. Everyone is overreacting. The judgment has not passed yet. No, the judgment has passed. He gave you those 4 points so that you know what he is going to be providing details about. So this is, again, this is just mental gymnastics to pretend like it's not over yet. Like your ship has sunk. Okay? That's it. The ship has sunk. One of my favorite BSV copers is Jerry David Chan, or Digital Sue. He's just been writing longer and longer posts, and you can see that he's going through the 5 stages of grief. So here we go. I shall also, as others have, end this lovely chapter of the Bitcoin saga with a statement. Nay, a creed. I love how these people love to blow smoke up their own asses. Like, the fuck are you talking about? Nay, a creed. And what are you talking about, the Bitcoin saga? Bitcoin is still totally going on. You just got grifted into believing a fraud and an affinity scammer. The only thing that's dead and dying, which we've told you for years, is BSV. Anyways, BSV was never about Satoshi. Actually, it's literally fucking called Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. I mean, that should be full stop right there. But yet, the mental gymnastics continue. It is an alternate scaling model for Bitcoin, one that has been revived and reborn thanks to the work of Dr. Craig Wright and Calvin Iyer, who doesn't know a fucking thing about computers. Oh, and Turkey Chop, who also can't verify what Calvin can't verify. Wow, the blind leading the blind. These guys are awesome, all following a fraud. Yeah. Craig Wright remains to me the most knowledgeable person in Bitcoin. Yeah, well, you're an idiot. That I have ever known. Nobody else has come close, and I have spoken to many of the early developers and core developers over the course of the last decade. I'm just going to call total bullshit on that. And the other people that you've spoken to either know significantly less than any actual Bitcoin developer, or they're not fucking developers, and you're just making that shit up. Plain and simple, you're just making that shit up. Yeah, no, he is definitely not the most knowledgeable person in Bitcoin, as evidenced by Bitcoin itself. Okay, like, that's plain and simple. Anyways, it just, yeah, this is so embarrassing. The last piece from his super long thread here that I'll say is right here. BSV has never been about price. It's about scaling and usage for all mankind, not just the elites who can afford it. But in the meantime, it's Craig it's Craig that has sit there and begun to gather supposedly thousands of patents so that people have to pay him to use all of his tech. So this fucking bullshit about scaling for all of mankind, these people are delusional. They're insane. Bitcoin is truly open, right? Bitcoin. You can actually go and develop on Bitcoin. You don't have to deal with any of this crap. Okay? These people are completely insane. I've never seen so many unself-aware human beings in my life, but yet they're all in BSV. Anyways, let's continue. This actually has to be my favorite fellow Bitcoiner and pleb, Cornicon. This is fantastic. So here we go. Retarded BSV, Calvin Iyer, community notes, fuck the world. Calvin Iyer is the biggest loser of the year, and it's only March. So this is great. So Calvin got community noted on his comment. To be clear, Craig invented Bitcoin yesterday, and we will... Craig invented Bitcoin yesterday, and we will still be the guy who invented Bitcoin tomorrow. History doesn't change. Bitcoin also does not change. Also, Craig funded himself, as he pointed out under oath. This has no direct effect on me. I still invest in the best tech for enterprise blockchain. This is still only BSV. So does he just buy shares of Microsoft or Oracle? Anyways, scaling matters. And of course, what happened? What happened? He got community noted. Craig Wright did not invent Bitcoin, as is proven in court. It's the cult of cell phone. It really is. BSV is totally the cult of cell phone. Before we wrap this up, I want to explain. There are many older accounts that people are not really familiar with, people that have been in this space for a long time and that were the original cheerleaders of BSV, right? Like the fake Bitcoin historian, Kurt, and guys like this, okay, Ryan X Charles. Now, there's a lot of people who don't know about Ryan, and Ryan was a huge promoter of BSV. He recently came out and called Craig Wright a scammer. Now, this is very significant, and I'm going to show why this is significant, okay? And I'm also going to explain kind of, how people really, I guess, really big supporters of BSV thought back in the day, right? When they were eating up all this bullshit from Craig. But anyways, let's just go through this tweet really quick. How I was scammed by Craig Wright. Craig Wright never provided convincing evidence that he was Satoshi Nakamoto. He was the strongest proponent of big blocks and the original protocol, which matched my understanding of the writings of Satoshi Nakamoto. But when push came to shove in court, he was unable to provide any convincing documents or signatures. The most likely explanation is that he is a giant scammer like Bernie Madoff. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you're swimming in the dumpster juice, it's really difficult to figure out what's garbage and what's the juice, and it's all kind of the same, right? Anyways, Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto. Yes, we know. There are many reasons why I believed his scam. Okay, here we go. One of those reasons was that it seemed implausible that someone, okay, so here we go, right? This is the mental gymnastics. It would seem implausible that someone would go all in on a scam so big. Why would someone want to hurt everyone around them and even ultimately themselves? So look, I know this is really difficult to accept, but when you have actually dealt with sociopaths and narcissists, it's quite possible that Ryan is not a narcissist or a sociopath and maybe does not have those tendencies. But again, it could also be that he does, because narcissists do tend to see themselves as victims when things don't work out for them. They're always the victim. So that could be true either way. Anyways, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze him. I'm just saying that when you are dealing with people who have zero regard for other human beings, it is not implausible that they can do these types of things and carry on these ridiculous types of stories for years in order to create an idea of self-importance. Anyways, let's continue. So, when I first got involved in Bitcoin in 2011, I was very naive. I am far less naive now. Psychopathic scammers do in fact exist, and they will hurt everyone around them and themselves. This is what Bitcoiners have been telling everyone for a really long time. The best explanation is that he did, in fact, hurt everyone around him and himself. Craig Wright is a giant scammer. I am coming to terms with the fact that Craig Wright has hurt many, many people, and I was one of his enablers. That's actually, I have to give him got to give him props for at least taking responsibility for that. So there you go. There's some hope, right? That he's not a narcissist or a sociopath. He maybe just got duped. But anyways, that's for him, not for me. I was one of the enablers by announcing on YouTube and Twitter that I believed he was Satoshi Nakamoto. I was wrong. Many people in crypto have been hurt by his ludicrous, indefensible court cases and countless personal attacks. And I don't know if there's anything I can do to rectify this, but I am all ears. Please stop believing this scam. Losing in court is a big deal. There is no defense. The best explanation is that Craig Wright is a giant scammer. To wrap this up, I'm going to show a video of Ryan X. Charles talking about his religious experience in BSV. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just want to show people the extent, right? Because keep in mind, many BSV supporters have sat there and called Bitcoiners cult members, right? That we're in a cult. And, even guys like the fake Bitcoin historian Kurt has called us the cult of Craig, which is kind of ironic because they're the ones that believe an affinity scammer is Satoshi Nakamoto. So it's just it's a lot of projection and weird behavior. But yeah, I really think that this clip really does sum up, unfortunately, the mental illness that was taking place. And it also goes to show, right, like as humans, like, and I'm not excluding myself from this, we are all susceptible to this type of magical thinking. Okay, so here's a great tweet from BIP_end of fiat, Katoshi Nakamoto. I can't pronounce that. Anyways, Katoshi's a good dude. All right, let's dive into it. So this is obviously they kind of modified his forehead in the video. This video was actually here we go. Originally edited by Rory, fellow Bitcoiner and Pleb. Definitely suggest follow both of those accounts. But yeah, let's dive into this video. What's really important here is not really the way he looks, but just pay attention to the messaging, okay?
So what happened was I was getting almost no sleep at all, and I went to visit Mige and Oihei on Sunday in Toronto. And on the way over there, I was just thinking about Bitcoin and thinking of all this stuff and started to cry as I thought about Craig's invention. I'm sitting there standing right by a church. So I go into church. I think it was a Baptist church. The pastor starts talking. And he starts telling the story of Jesus Christ. Again, appreciate the emotion of the experience and appreciate the lack of sleep and all that. And I take all these things seriously, but I'm telling you exactly what actually happened. And the guy's telling the story of Jesus, and I'm like, oh my God. I'll tell you what I believed, although this is going to sound silly. I mean, what I believed in the moment was that Craig Wright is the second coming of Jesus Christ. My mouth is just gaping open. I'm sitting there listening to this. I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, I have to introduce people to Bitcoin. I got to get more people involved in Bitcoin. So I go out there and just start talking with random people on the street. I meet this guy named Rick, and I introduce him, and I meet this other woman named Janiqua, telling them all these things, and I'm like half crying as I'm saying all this stuff because it was all very emotional. And they're like, well, how do you know that Craig is Jesus Christ? And I said, well, I don't really, I mean, I don't know. Let me ask him. So I email Craig and I say, hey, Craig, are you Jesus Christ? No one believed any of this stuff. And I don't remember everything he said.
I don't even know what to say. I haven't watched that clip in a long time, but listening to it now definitely brings on a whole different layer of cringe. I mean, I think that sums it up, right? Like, it's really, really bad when people deify, right? Like, for example, right, like that he's comparing, Craig Wright to Jesus Christ. That is some dangerous stuff right there. And I feel really bad saying this, but this is a lot of times like this is what cults do, right? They take a person, they prop them up on a pedestal, they give them superhuman qualities, and then they decide they're the second coming of, like that's how you get grifted into drinking the Kool-Aid, and the police find you not alive next to a whole bunch of other ridiculous people that also drank the Kool-Aid. Guys, I'd like to say that this BSV thing is coming to an end. But like I said, I've said this in the past, shitcoins just become zombie chains. So unfortunately, there is going to be continued grifters trying to shill you the ridiculous story of Craig Wright's Satoshiness and BSV's story of how it's the underdog and the system, the system coerced to push it down because he's the real Satoshi, and Bitcoin can't handle that. So it's this giant coercion to stop the real Satoshi. Like, look, this is the type of shit that creates fake martyrs, okay? This is the type of stuff that can lead mentally ill people to do very dangerous and stupid things. So yeah. Anyways, guys, the cope that's coming out of the BSV supporters is pretty insane. I am pleased though to see that there are a few accounts that genuinely they were there because they believed, and then they realized they were wrong, and they're like, okay, I'm wrong. Well, it's too bad, and I have to move on. I mean, to me, like that, those are realistic human beings, right? That yes, indeed, they made a mistake. They're not letting it become an error, and they're changing their opinion now that I shouldn't say new, but now that facts have been released. So, anyways, guys, that's the clip for today. Yeah, I don't think we have that much left on the Craig Wright saga. I think all that's left is there's still the Hodlonaut trial that's coming up. I'm sure there's going to be fireworks there anyways. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I am going to catch you all tomorrow.